Not the silence of peace, but the kind that hangs heavy before a storm. It was training week at Outpost 17, an isolated tactical facility tucked between jagged cliffs and red sand, the kind of place where nothing moved unless ordered to. Corporal Iden Vale lay prone on the elevated ridge, staring through the scope of his XR-5 rifle. He had 22 seconds left. The target, a reinforced steel plate at 1,600 meters, simulated as a hostage-taker during high-risk extraction scenarios. He'd hit it 100 times before. Today would be different. His finger hovered lightly above the trigger. His breathing was steady. The crosshairs danced only slightly across the plate's center mass. He could hit it, but he wouldn't. With 9 seconds remaining, he exhaled and fired 2 centimeters wide. Clank. The bullet struck the edge of the target structure. A near miss, technically a failure. The silence afterward wasn't just procedural, it was judgmental. A moment later, static crackled in his earpiece. Missed, clocked at 22.04 seconds, returned to staging. Sergeant Major Oren's voice was clipped, disappointed. Iden said nothing. He simply pulled back the bolt, cleared the chamber, and stood. The walk back to the briefing tent felt longer than usual. 3 days earlier, Iden had arrived at Outpost 17 with his unit, a group of 12 mixed experience marksmen and tactical observers, selected for Advanced Tactical Reassessment Training, also known informally as the Scrape. Most soldiers saw the Scrape as a career maker or breaker. You either showed you're ready for high-level mission command, or they sent you back to logistics. Iden didn't care for promotions. He wasn't here to rise, he was here to disappear. That miss wasn't like you. That night in the bunk room, Lieutenant Everin, his spotter and closest friend, leaned over from the upper bunk. "You good?" "Fine," Iden replied. "You've never missed that plate, especially not with a clean wind." Iden looked up but said nothing. Everin frowned. "I saw the scope twitch. You adjusted last second. You pulled the shot." Still, no reply. "I know you. You don't mess up under pressure. You made a choice." Iden finally answered, his voice quiet. "Let it go, Rev." But Everin couldn't. Not entirely. Outpost 17, Command Briefing Room. The next morning, the team gathered around a digital tactical map. Sergeant Major Oren stood stiff at the head of the room, fingers locked behind his back. "Tomorrow we run a live sim op. The briefing scenario is classified Tier 3. You will be given variables only at mission start. All shooters prepare for variable hostage extraction under unknown interference conditions. Civilian and VIP elements will be simulated. 1 target, 1 shot." He looked directly at Iden. A pause. "Accuracy will not be negotiable," the team murmured. This was the kind of test people failed on camera. Later that day, the observation tower. Everin joined Iden during weather calcs. "You ever wonder," Everin said, adjusting the sighting instrument, "how much 1 shot actually changes?" Iden didn't respond. "They always say 1 shot, 1 kill. But what if it's 1 shot, 1 consequence?" Iden glanced over. "You're thinking about yesterday." Everin shrugged. "I'm thinking maybe you know something I don't." Iden smiled faintly. "I know one thing. Not all enemies wear uniforms." Flashback. 2 years ago, Coastal Black Ops extraction. It was a name not spoken at Outpost 17, Miriam Wells, a humanitarian doctor killed during a rogue extraction gone wrong. Iden had been part of that mission. So had Colonel Nathan Kieran, now a key figure at Central Command. The official report blamed crossfire from enemy combatants. Iden knew the truth. The colonel had greenlit the extraction early, ignoring intel about civilian presence in the target building. When Iden hesitated on the trigger, refusing to fire into a zone with children, another unit opened up. The building collapsed. 7 civilians dead, including Miriam. She had treated Iden's wounded squad mates just weeks prior. She was supposed to have been evacuated. The report never mentioned her name. Kieran's record remained spotless. Back to present, tactical simulation. Day Outpost 17's main yard buzzed with low tension. This wasn't just another drill. Everyone felt it. The mission was loaded. The shooters moved into formation. Evren would spot. Iden would shoot. Command brief came fast and quiet. Target marked red 1 to 8. Hostage simulation engaged. No civilian tags registered. Fire on clear line of sight. Iden settled into position, scanning. He froze. There, moving behind the simulation debris, a faint, untagged human shape. The system didn't mark it. No heat sign, no ID beacon. A glitch? Number Iden saw the outline clearly through the scope. Small frame, civilian. The target, red 1 to 8, stood 3 feet in front of it. Firing now would drop both. Shooter 4, you are green. Command, Evren whispered. You see that shadow? Iden nodded. What do we do? The countdown began. 10 seconds. Shooter 4, confirm status. Iden's finger rested on the trigger. Everything in his training screamed fire. Everything in his memory screamed don't. 5 seconds. He adjusted windage half a degree west. He could still hit the target if he compensated vertically. 3 seconds. He blinked. 2 seconds. He exhaled. Clank. Bullet struck the side beam. Again, 2 centimeters wide. Missed. Deliberately. Aftermath. Command tent. The debrief was brutal. Corporal Vale, Sergeant Major Oren growled. That's 2 consecutive failures. Want to tell me what's happening? Iden stood at attention. Nothing to report, sir. You want to end your career here? I follow orders, sir. Not when you're missing like this, you don't. Evren stepped in. Sir, there may have been a system fault. My equipment registered movement behind the target. Could have been an untagged sim actor. Oren's eyes narrowed. We don't put untagged actors behind live targets. Evren stared back. Maybe someone did. Oren paused. Dismissed. That night, data room break-in. At 3 a.m., Iden quietly entered the secured comms bay, using an old technician code he'd kept from his recon days. He accessed the sim logs. There it was. Entry number 47B, time-stamped, motion detection disabled. Visual of a civilian-shaped silhouette moving into red 1/8 line moments before the shot. System override came from a restricted code. KRN67 Alpha, Kieran's code. It wasn't a glitch. Someone had planted a false civilian marker to bait him into shooting. If Iden had taken that shot, it would have looked like a repeat of the past. A second mistake, this time caught on camera. His career would have been over, possibly court-martialed. He stared at the screen. Kieran hadn't forgotten. Iden Vale didn't sleep that night. The data chip he held in his palm contained proof. Someone had manipulated the simulation. The unregistered silhouette behind the target? Not a glitch. It was placed deliberately, and the override code traced back to Colonel Karen. It was a trap. He'd passed the first test by refusing to fire, but there would be another. Next simulation. Final day orders came fast. Another live sim extraction at dawn. Same target setup. Same high-ranking observers watching from behind tinted glass. Iden was paired with a news spotter he didn't know. The moment he saw the scope, he knew. The same setup. Target marked red 2 to 2. Behind it, another untagged silhouette. Slightly different posture, holding something metallic. He didn't fire. He didn't even adjust the scope. He stood up and dropped the rifle. I'm not taking the shot, he said, loud and calm. Gasps, a siren. Within minutes, he was escorted to holding. The confrontation. 3 hours later, Iden was seated across from Colonel Karen himself. You just couldn't let it go, Kieran said, not angry, smug. You tried to frame me, Iden replied. Twice. No one will believe you. Then I hope you don't mind what I uploaded to Central Archives. Kieran stiffened. The data logs, thermal footage, your override code, all of it. Silence. Then the colonel leaned back. What do you want, Vale? Nothing. I just want it to stop. Quiet resolution. The next day, no announcement was made, no apology. But word spread. Iden's record was restored. Karen was reassigned. The simulations were under review. A silent victory. Before leaving Outpost 17, Iden returned to the range, set the steel plate at 1,600 meters, no simulations, no hidden shapes, just distance and wind. One shot, direct hit. He exhaled, lowered the rifle, and walked away. Closing line. Some shots save lives, others protect the truth. The hardest ones are the ones you never take.